Hey guys, this is the first edition of Making Art in a little isolation shed, my little pocket in the world. Today I'm going to cover pretty much portraits for beginners. I'm going to be breaking it right down, taking little snippets of videos and putting them together in a way that you can understand them, and hopefully you'll get a good result at the end. The materials I'll be using within this video are things that you can be found around the home or the supermarket, and I'm going to be making it very cheap and easy for you. I'm going to be covering photography, taking a good shot so you can have some good resource to paint from. I'm going to be teaching you how to trace without a light box. What do you do? Thirdly, going on to transference, which means taking your little traced picture and putting it on the canvas, nice and easy. And then finally painting. So let's get into it. So here we have Jimmy, one of my isolation flatmates. I've put him outside, taken a photo in front of a blank wall as not to confuse the area around him. I did not really like this photo or any of the photos I took outside due to the sun being covered by cloud. Looking for any type of light, I moved my model's face around and could not get any shadows or in any form, so I decided to take my model inside. If you take some photos and the sun is out nice and bright, you're probably going to get some nice shadows falling and it might work. But on my particular day, grey, overcast, it was best if I headed inside and started using unnatural light source. Okay, so my model's now inside. I've decided to put a backdrop up behind him to differentiate his face from the surroundings. Makes it easier to paint. I've gone and put the light on one side of his face so we can get some good contrast. Now I determine how close he should be to the light. I can move either him forward to the light or I can move the light closer to him. This is to try and get your light distancing nice so you can get good heavy contrast and balance. As you can see in this photo, he's far too close to the light. Okay, now so after moving him back and forth, I've found a nice spot for him to sit where the light is nice and even. We don't have any overexposure, we don't have any super dark bits, it's kind of nice and even. Now I move my model's head around and try and find optimum light where I've got a nice contrast of heavy and light, but you can still see everything within the photo. After taking a number of shots, I found that this shot was probably the best, so I moved on to the next part. So in this photo I've got two examples. The one on the left is a photograph that is taken straight from my camera, and the one on the right is a photo that has been messed with in an editing suite. Any editing suite will do on your computer, on your telephone. You just want to get in there and you want to up the contrast maybe, or pull the exposure down. Just mess with the parameters and get the photograph that's got a lot of information in there for you to copy from. In this slide it shows what I've done to the colour. I've upped the colour, not overly, but enough so you can see more contrast in colour and tone, so you've got more information to work from again. Finally, I just cropped a little bit of this photo out and I have my final piece. This is my resource photo, and from here, this is what I'll paint from. All there is to do now is take it from here and try and get it on the canvas. Okay, so now you've got your great photo, but you need to get a hard copy of it. How do you do that without a light box and a photocopier? You use TV or your PC. Using a PC, you're able to manipulate your photo, the size, to however you want it on the canvas, or you can move it onto the TV with an HDMI cable and make it bigger. But for this exercise I'm just going to use the PC because it seems to be the right size for what I need. There'll also be a few other things you'll need, so this is what else you'll need. Here you can see I've laid the baking paper over the PC display screen. I've extended the image larger and now am putting in every detail I can. The baking paper works perfectly for pencil and you can get every detail. You can see a little bit through it, but not everything. Sometimes your image can be too big, but it's easily just moved along and to extend it into the left hand side. As you can see in here, as I get every detail, sometimes the dark bits you can't see. So I'm now cartooning here to fit every detail in. You just lift the paper, remember, and place it again. And there you have it. Okay, so now you have your drawing on baking paper and it's time to transfer that to what you're going to paint on. So what are you going to paint on? You can choose anything from cardboard to bits of card to paper to wood to anything. I've chosen a bit of white cartridge. It's not expensive stuff, but it will handle a bit of water on it. That's probably the key, to make sure something can handle a bit of water. Okay, so how do I transfer this onto here? Normally you would use something like graphite paper, where you just put this underneath here, put this on top and draw, and it transfers through. Nice and easy. But during isolation, what have you got? You've got nothing. So what I propose to do is we're going to make our own carbon paper. Let me just show you how to do that. Okay, so I lay down my picture. I once again go over it in pen. This is so once I cover the back in pencil, I'm able to see my original drawing. Maybe I should have done this in pen first. Now that I've got the picture, I flip it over, I cover the back thoroughly in a lot of pencil, push the pencil to the side, to its side, and just work over it, filling as much as you can. You don't have to go over everything, just where your pencil marks are. I then flip it back, do a little bit of drawing, just a tester to see if it's working, see if it transfers underneath, and yes, it does. So that's job completed. So that's that bit of drawing with the carbon on the back, or pencil sketched all over it. Now it's time to attach it to the bit of paper, cardboard, whatever you have. Attach it with tape, and we're going to go over it one more last time. This time I'm going to use an ink pen so I can see where I've been. So here we have the final transfer onto the good bit of card which I'll paint onto. I'm using ink so I know where I've been, don't want to keep going over the same areas. Ink pushes down on the paper and then transfers the graphite on the other side of the paper to the good bit of card that I'm going to paint onto. And there you have it. Okay, so now I've got my copy on my good bit of paper on the easel ready to go. I've set up my PC right beside as a resource. I'm going to go back to the original, blow it up and have a good look. I'm going to start with the lighter tones within the face, starting off with say white and a little bit of yellow, and then as I go searching out the colours I'll add a little bit more pigment and tone with these, a bit more tint with these warmer colours. Once I've done all of that side, I think then I'll go on to the other side and do the blues and then see where we go from there. I'll be using a series of brushes, only a few. I normally only use say 2 of these, but today I'm going to try a few more because it's always good to learn something else. So yeah, let's see how we go. So I start with the warm tones on one side. The colour I'm using is a lot of white and the tones are very, very, very light.
as you go through, they slightly get darker until you feel like that you've covered a lot of the area that you need to before we move on to the next step, which is the blue side. I add green in now and then because it's good as a nuance that will come through the paint, because the paint I'm using, the way I'm applying it is with quite a lot of water. I want to build up the layers, layer upon layer of transparency, until I get the desired effect that I need. Slowly I move into the darker tones, and then it becomes a series of moving back and forth. Wherever you see you want to go, you just go there. There's no real technique to this. Everyone finds their own way, but the way I've shown you here is a good start. Now I move into the finer details, the little hairs, working into the shirt, laying down the base coats, the colours that I want to see come through, because the shirt's black but I want it to come through with a bit more vibrancy. I move into the background, cutting around the person. This colour I use for the background I later change because I find it's too light. Everything looks a bit flat there and I want him to come forward, so I darken it up. I'm starting to add a lot of dark purples instead of black, because I can always add black later. There goes the dark background. Now I'm refining all the areas, the little hairs, little bits of light in the eyes, working my way around anywhere I want to really. And then now I'm into the final touches. We have the final piece. I somewhat wish I'd stopped halfway through because it was far more interesting as a piece. It looks like the person. It's a very fair representation of who I was painting, which I'm happy with. But artistically, I wish I'd stopped halfway through. I thought it was just far more interesting. But anyway, that's how you make a portrait from home in isolation. I hope you enjoyed this video.